10 years in the case of Abina Abeta, 10 years and 6 months in the case of Ike Ekweremadu, and 6 years in the case of Beatrice Ekweremadu.
These are some details you didn't know about in the Ekweremadu's case. Ike Ekweremadu, who was jailed recently by a UK court alongside his wife and his doctor, has been on trial in London for his alleged involvement in the organ harvesting attempt on a 21-year-old David Ekweremadu. A lot of details have been sketchy and hidden, and we are unraveling them today as sourced from Barrister Emeka Ugonye. David Ekweremadu is the 21-year-old Lagos street hawker who was to give his kidney to Ekweremadu's daughter in London. When the hospital in London asked him if he knew he was to donate his kidney to Sonia Ekweremadu, he first told them that he had no money to donate. They explained to him that it was his kidney that he was to donate. He asked them what was kidney. Initially, the doctors thought it was a question of language, since David's English was not good enough. However, they eventually understood that David did not know which human organ was called the kidney. In other words, he did not know what organ he was to give Sonia. Probably it was not well explained to him to get his consent and approval before bringing him to London. That led the doctors to conclude that the procedure was not well explained to David, and that is the #1 requirement by law. According to the law, you must explain to the organ donor the procedure and all the health risks associated with the procedure. When the doctors found that David did not understand what he was about to get involved in, they declared him a mismatch. The term mismatch is a technical generic language to indicate that the proposed organ harvesting has not met all the requirements. Many in Nigeria have misunderstood the term mismatch in this case to mean that David's kidney was not suitable for Sonia. No, there was nothing wrong with David's kidney. To donate an organ, the facts must match both the law and the science governing the procedure. While the kidney matched the scientific requirements, the facts did not match the legal requirements, so it was declared a mismatch. To help you understand it better, the term mismatch means there is a discrepancy. The doctor who interviewed David did not and could not have determined that a crime was committed. The doctor did not have sufficient information to reach such conclusion then. They felt uncomfortable with the discrepancies in the information they had about the donor and his decision and whether he had made up his mind. For instance, the doctors did not get involved in how David was brought to them or whether he was paid. It was not their duty to deal with that. It was actually when Ekweremadu and Dr. Obinna attempted to return David to Nigeria that the problem started. David expected that he would be given a job in London, as he was told before he left Nigeria. They did not give him the job and they did not send him to school. Instead of all he was promised, he was asked to prepare to return to Nigeria, and David ran away from the house where he was kept. As hunger became a challenge, he reported himself to the police. To win the immediate protection of the police, he lied about his age by telling them he was 15. It was when he was interviewed by the police that the information came out, which established that a crime was committed. For instance, It was at the police station that they asked him if he was paid money, and he said yes. He was offered 270,000 naira. When the police checked the WhatsApp chat between Ekweremadu and Dr. Obinna Obeta, they realized that Ekweremadu actually paid 4.5 million naira for Dr. Obinna Obeta to pay to David. But Dr. Obinna Obeta only paid David 270,000 naira and pocketed the rest. In fact, Ekweremadu tried to keep himself away from certain details of the deal. That was why Ekweremadu never discussed money with David. In fact, he did not deal directly with David. That was what made it possible for Obinna Obeta to cheat him. Ekweremadu believed that the 4.5 million naira went to David, but since he was not dealing with David directly, he never knew that Dr. Obinna Obeta pocketed most of the money. However, the law viewed Ekweremadu's decision not to deal directly with David as a typical behavior of a big man who knew that he's getting involved in a crime. He would usually try to create some distance between him and the crime, yet he will be funding the crime from afar. Otherwise, how come you never wanted to meet the boy that is giving his kidney to your daughter and whom you called your cousin to your daughter, which actually makes him your nephew? Rather than see the non-direct dealing as evidence of innocence, it was seen as deliberate or willful ignorance aimed at evading legal responsibility. One of the key factors that worked against Ekweremadu was that he lied. On the 3 official documents he signed, he stated that David was Sonia's cousin, but in all the WhatsApp chats he had with Dr. Obinna Obeta and his own brother over the matter, he referred to David as that guy. Hence the question, you knew he was not Sonia's cousin. While you signed the document, he was your cousin. When you wanted to say the truth, you referred to him as that guy, meaning you didn't know him or even remember his name. Ekweremadu admitted in the court that he lied and apologized. This detail, as provided by Barrister Emeka Ugwuonye, cleared the fact that David misled Ekweremadu and took advantage of him. No, David is a real victim. He did not manipulate them. He was manipulated by Dr. Obinna Obeta, who was working for Ike Ekweremadu. This was what transpired that got Ike Ekweremadu, the wife, and Dr. Obinna Obeta behind the bars.
The applicable starting points are custodial sentences of 10 years in the case of Obinna Obeta, 10 years and 6 months in the case of Ike Ekweremadu, and 6 years in the case of Beatrice Ekweremadu. Obinna Obeta, stand up please. There are aggravating features in your case. You deliberately targeted a victim who was particularly vulnerable due to his young age, his isolation from his immediate family, and his poverty. After the conspiracy to exploit C was thwarted, you continued to try and find another person to be exploited in the same way. As against that, you have no previous convictions, and you are a person of good character.